I go to this RSTLM thing last week, and I just have ABA done. And I get on the phone, I text my wife, my BFF, and I said, you know what happened? I said, OMG! So anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. The first time was I guess it was 11 years ago I ever spoke in front of people. And I was asked to do this presentation. I was pro bono. It was last minute. A guy was supposed to do it. He couldn't do it. He referred me to the principal of the school. And the guy had never seen me speak before. And he said, Rob, I see this energy. And see this energy badge. I think you'd be good doing it. So the principal calls me. He says, Rob, Jerry Weinhold called me up and said he can't do this thing. He'd like you to speak for us. I'm like, sure. How many people do you think you're going to have there? Oh, 650 people. I'm like, sure, no problem. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I decided I'm going to do it. So the night of the event, we're at school, and I'm with the principal, the vice principal, the president, and all the faculty and staff were in the cafeteria, and we're eating. And then the principal says, Rob, how about we go over to the auditorium? How about we check out the sound system, the lighting, the stage, and all this good stuff? I'm like, yeah, it's a good idea, let's go. So my wife and I go over there with the principal, and we're in there checking things out. And then he asked me the scariest question I could have ever heard at that time. He says, Rob, is this potentially the largest crowd you've ever spoken in front of? Looked at my wife, like, look, I'm as transparent as you can be. I said, Bear, this is the only crowd I've ever spoken in front of. His eyes popped out, his jaw drops. He's like, I said, don't worry, I've been reading this stuff for 10 years. I think we're going to be okay. I went on to give my first keynote speech. It was the longest speech I ever gave. It was 11 minutes. Keynote speeches usually last about an hour, right, Mike? Where you go? Where you at, Mike? So Mike uses the overhead or the PowerPoint. That's why he's a billionaire. I don't use it. That's why I'm not. So you heard that music coming up here, right? Did you hear that? You guys familiar with that song, Creed? It's called Higher. The song, the words, I don't know if you listen to it. I'm a deep guy, like Seth said, and I read into things and I listen to things. And what does it mean to me? And what does it mean to you? And when I hear those words, can you take me higher? Can you take me to a place where blind men see? Can you take me higher? Can you take me to a place where there are golden streets? Later in the song, he says something to the effect, up high, I feel like I'm alive for the very first time. I feel like I'm strong enough to take these dreams and make them mine. Now, years ago, if I had a few drinks, Jeff Altman on the back knows I'd be singing that song right now instead of reading the words. But what do those words mean? What do they mean? You know, it's about really reaching your goals, achieving what you want to achieve in life. But it's about reaching your full potential. I would hazard to say most of us here would agree that they haven't reached their full potential yet. Is that a fair statement? Why not? Why is that? You know, let me take you back to the time when you were first conceived. Do you remember that day?
No.
Probably not, right?
God.
Let me take you back to the day you were born. Do you remember that day? No, it's impossible, right? What happened the day you were conceived, there was a seed. There was a very small seed. And it was planted within you. God put that seed inside of you because He knew what He wanted us to be. He knew what we could be. He gave us a free will. So over the years, as we're younger, we feel invincible. We feel like we can do anything. We dream big and do whatever we want, say whatever we want. But at some point in time, something happens. Something happens. Something that says, hey, I'm not good enough. Hey, maybe I can't do that. Maybe it's just a bad idea. What is that? You know, at some point in time, there's a self-esteem issue that kicks in. Is it from the parents? Is it from the TV we watch? Is it from the society? What is it? But something happens, and then we just stop. And all that potential, all that dreaming that we've done, it just gets buried inside. It gets buried inside. And all of a sudden, we start competing, and we start comparing with others, right? Oh, I want to be like Mike. Oh, I want to be prettier than Susan. Oh, I want to be stronger than Tom. We start competing, we start comparing. But that's not who we are. But we want to be somebody else. We end up taking somebody else's goals and making them our own. And then the more we do that, and the longer time goes on, the deeper your own seed of potential gets buried. And then you got to work that much harder to bring it up. So over time, you have to read the good books. You have to study the good material. Listen to the good things. And while you're doing that, you're nurturing, you're cultivating the seed of potential. potential. And at some point in time, just like the compound effect, it's going to explode. We don't know when that time's coming, but you got to believe it's going to happen. You got to believe. Do you believe that? Do you believe it? Do you? I'm asking you, do you believe that? Come on, a little more energy than that. Come on. Yes. This is KW, a little more energy. Let's go. Do you believe it? Look, I'll do the 30-second James Taylor thing. There's 3 things you need to do. You need to be you need to trust, and you need to get in the game. I'm finished. Now, there's 3 things. There's 3 basic things you need to do. Be you. And that's not the letter B and the letter U. That's B-E-Y-O-U. Be you. Keller Williams movie, guys. Anyway, you got to be you. Where does that start? Where does being yourself start? It's really about being transparent. Just being you. Being you. I remember growing up, I'm one of 7 kids and had a lot of friends. And I was always afraid, hey, I can't really tell you how I feel. I can't tell you that I'm hurt. Because that's the sissy thing. I can't share that with you. I was 34 years old or 33 years old when I learned what the word transparency meant. And I was like, it was a whole liberating experience. Like, wow, it's okay to be me. In fact, I like myself. I think I'm a pretty good guy, and I like who I am. In fact, I'll tell you today, I love my life. I really do. I wouldn't trade it in. Sure, I want more money. Sure, I want more success. And that'll come when and if it's supposed to. But right now, I like where I am. That same time I learned about the word transparency, another thing came to mind, journaling. Anybody journal? Raise your hand, anybody journal? I hazard to guess more women do it than guys, right? I thought it was a whole feminine thing. I'm not going to journal my thoughts. That's crazy, right? I'm not going to tell my buddies that I'm journaling, right? Why would I do that? I would expose myself, right? But I started doing it about 10 years ago. And what happens when you start to journal, you set your place in a quiet mind, and you're there, take a pen and paper, and you start writing. It's a stream of consciousness. And it's like, I don't get this, but like a fax machine, you put a piece of paper on one end, and it goes through a wire and comes out the other end, same way you put it in. Well, when you're sitting there and you're thinking, these thoughts are in your head, and all of a sudden it just comes down your arm, and out this pen, you're like, well, where did that come from? Because it's really what's deep down inside you that starts coming out. It's really like a therapeutic thing, but it really helps you see where you were, where you are, and just maybe where you're going. I had my son, God, he was 7 at the time. Our first dog that they ever had, he died. We had to put him down. It was the hardest day. We came home and he's sitting there, he's just really quiet. I'm like, Robbie, what's wrong? He goes, Dad, I'm sad. I'm like, you feel like crying? He goes, yeah. And I said, then go ahead and cry. Most of us at 8, we say, oh, you can't cry. Don't cry, it's not a manly thing to do. It's a sissy thing to do. And I said, Robbie, let's go upstairs and let's have a good cry together. I said, I never want you not to do something in fear of what other people might think or say or do or how they might judge you. If you feel you want to cry, then cry. If you want to tell me you're scared about something, tell me. Because that's how we're going to learn about you and that's how we're going to grow. We're going to start there. Braveheart. Everybody see the movie Braveheart? He yells and he's getting ready to die or get killed. And he yells the word, freedom! Freedom! And when you reach your full potential, think about it, man. If you reach your full potential, how free, how liberating is that? Sir William Wallace and his men, they were willing to die for their country. They're willing to die for themselves every day because that's what they wanted, right? Well, here's the bigger question. Are you willing to die of your false self? Are you willing to get up every morning and die of all the societal pressures that says you're supposed to be like this and supposed to be like that? Are you willing to die of that and be your true self every day? There's so much junk going on around us, and we buy into it, that it's like up at dawn, down at dusk chore. It's a job, because it is so hard because there's so much negativity around us. And you've got to be willing to get up every morning and die of that false self to be who you truly made to be. It's incredibly hard. I'm just sitting here and tell you, I'm not there, and I work at it every day. I get up and I'm like, just give me the strength to be who I'm supposed to be. So that's the first part. Be you. Just be who you are.